Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. Supreme Court on Friday had put a stay on Rahul Gandhi's conviction in the Modi surname case. It's more than 3 days now, but the Lok Sabha Secretariat has been dragging its feet as far as the restoration of Rahul's membership to Lok Sabha is concerned. Senior Congress leader Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary in an interview said that he has given a copy of the Supreme Court order to the Lok Sabha Secretariat along with an application, but then he was told that the Secretary General would take into account whatever has happened. Secretary General's office informed him that it was a Sunday and apparently the things will unfold on Monday. So the question we are asking that Rahul's restoration, Rahul's membership, restoration of Rahul's membership to Lok Sabha, is it a big challenge for Congress and the BJP? And is the Lok Sabha Secretariat, politically speaking, is dragging its feet over Rahul Gandhi? Joining me now is veteran journalist and political editor to Hindustan Times, Vinod Sharma. So thank you so much for joining. My first question to you, sir, is that the delay in restoring Rahul's membership to Lok Sabha, do you see any politics being played out between Friday and today's Sunday?
In fact, let's wait until Monday to come to this conclusion. Because I personally feel that the delay is being measured in relative terms, in terms of the speed with which he was expelled from the Lok Sabha and the time which is being taken in restoring his membership in the Lok Sabha. Well, of course, it was a weekend, and they explained that on a weekend the Lok Sabha Secretariat is shut. May I say one thing? Parliamentary democracy is never shut. It is a continuum, it is an eternal process, it should never shut. And this is no excuse. It is so much of a bureaucratic, clerical excuse that is being extended. But nevertheless, giving them the benefit of doubt, we'll wait until Monday. And Monday, I think by afternoon, the whole process should be over. What it requires now is a circular or a direction from the chair of the Lok Sabha that his membership stands restored. You see, may I say one thing? The Lakshadweep member of parliament, that is one case which is being cited to express apprehension that there may be some element of deliberate delay. But I think that, in a parliamentary democracy, trust is the issue. And let us wait until Monday. But also, I must mention that the Lakshadweep MP, for the interregnum that he was suspended from the House, he had all the right to get salary from the back date. He has not got his salary till now. So I do not know how such a bureaucratic red tapeism be there in the Lok Sabha when Parliament has been, not from now, from for many years, has been complaining against bureaucratic delays and red tapeism. And now this government takes great pride in ensuring ease of doing business and getting things done quickly in order to reach relief to people or not to create hurdles, unnecessary hurdles, which are easily resolvable.
But Mr. Sharma, whom would you hold responsible for this kind of a bureaucratic delay, as what you're saying? Is the Speaker to be held accountable? Is the Prime Minister's office to be held accountable? Whom would you really hold accountable? Because there is a lot of politics, as what Jairam Ramesh's tweet said this morning, that apparently Narendra Modi is scared of facing Rahul Gandhi in a no-confidence motion. What would you really say to a statement?
Well, that's what Jairam said is political rhetoric, and I don't want to, put much emphasis on it. I think that the responsibility of his restoration of his membership is squarely with the Lok Sabha Secretariat and vicariously on the Speaker of the House. And the Speaker of the House, it is about him. He has to come across as one who's even-handed, who's bipartisan, who is not for or against anyone, though these are concepts which are now pretty old and things have changed in our polity. But I assume that Mr. Om Birla will rise to the occasion and restore his membership tomorrow. And if he does not, then he shall be open to all kind of criticism and scrutiny insofar as conduct as the chair of the Lok Sabha is concerned. He owns that premises. He is the custodian of the house. Custodian of the house, the creature of which is the government and the Prime Minister himself. So he has a huge responsibility on his shoulders. And that responsibility is to ensure that both sides are given equal treatment. They get equal opportunity to state their piece in the House. The space is proportionately divided for both sides to participate in a discussion and reach to a happy conclusion in the interest of the people. Now, this is an ideal situation. But given the state of our polity, there are questions which are raised. Sometimes these are hastily raised. Sometimes these are rightly raised. We'll get to know whether these questions are being hastily raised or rightly raised on Monday. Because Monday, in my view, is the deadline for the Speaker.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the no confidence motion will start day after tomorrow, that is 8th August. But you were talking about how partisan or non-partisan a speaker could be. Now, we have precedents where the speaker has been criticized for his, partisan behavior, that he's not favored the opposition, he's favored the ruling party. Do you think that the BJP is really worried, or apparently the speaker would be that worried, even if they don't allow Rahul Gandhi's MP status to be restored, even if he's being criticized? Do you think BJP is really bothered about that? And they would go all out to still throttle the process somehow so that Rahul Gandhi doesn't take part in the no confidence motion?
Well, whether they are bothered or not, this is a question they have to answer. I can only share my impressions. And my impression is that there are occasions when one feels that the opposition is not being given a fair deal. But there are also occasions one feels that the opposition is being asking for more than its share. But then in parliamentary democracy, which is a kind of a, what should I say? It's a cerebral combat. It has to be a cerebral combat. And where the country has to gain from what they discuss between themselves. When the discussion doesn't happen, and there is a logjam in the House, and there is pandemonium in the House for whatever reason, I think the first responsibility of restoring order in the House to ensure legislative and debate business and discussion business is that of the ruling party. Because they are the ones with maximum numbers in the House, and they have the person who is the leader of the House, namely the Prime Minister. Now, also that the Speaker comes from is their selection, their choice as the Speaker. And so is the President their choice, though the President is an elected office, Speakers is also an elected office. And both these elected offices, basically almost always we see that the members of the ruling party get elected to these offices. It is expected that once they get elected to these offices, they break their ties with their mother parties. Now, once you've broken ties with your mother party, you are expected to be bipartisan. And in Western democracies, there has been this tradition where there too, though that tradition is receding into the background now, that there was a tradition that the Speaker would be elected unopposed in the general elections, because to ensure that he has a bipartisan conduct. But those happy traditions, those precedents, who cares now? Nobody cares. Because the polity is not just adversarial. It at times borders on enmity. You see, and that is where people who are Puritan they have a puritanical approach to democracy. I don't have much to celebrate, but I hope that the Speaker would be fair and he would restore his membership. And then on the 8th, so that on the 8th, the both sides put their best foot forward to give this country a good debate on not just Manipur, but a whole lot of issues. Because the no confidence motion is not on Manipur alone. It is an omnibus motion where members can raise any point with regard to the performance of the government, for the simple reason that it is a no-trust motion against the government. And the single line of that motion is this House has lost trust in the Prime Minister. So I think it will be a good debate. But before that, certain riddles have to be resolved. One is Rahul riddle.
So it could remain a riddle even tomorrow. I mean, what is your hunch, sir?
Well, I don't go by hunches on this. I go by precedent. I think that at the end of the day, all people who occupy those high offices and the Speaker's office has no meaning until it is held in high esteem by all members in the House. And not just the members in the House, but the country on the whole. So these people have to be held in high esteem first. Then comes the high offices they occupy, because then alone the high offices they occupy and their occupation of it would have any meaning when they are held in high esteem by the people and the members of the House.
Okay. Now coming to the SC order on Rahul per se, do you think that this is a new turning point before 2024 elections?
No, I mean, people have been saying that, Rahul will gain from this politically, electorally, Congress will gain, India on the whole will gain, the India grouping, and that the BJP will have an issue about this. I doubt. You see, there are many other issues which BJP has to worry about. Yes, Mr. Rahul Gandhi had a case and he refused to apologize, saying that he's not committed any wrong. And I also feel that the BJP has gotten, it has turned it into a habit. You see, politics is not about litigation. Now, in politics, there'll be all kinds of things said. I mean, it is not just that the most civil language is used by the people in the BJP. I mean, even those who sit on the high table in the BJP have used the kind of language which would not qualify as civilized language.
Absolutely.
For instance, the description of India by a top dignitary that India is also there in Indian Mujahideen, that India is also there in People's Front of India, that India is also there in East India Company. Now, this statement, if that person makes in the House, it will be expunged. It will not remain the part of the record. So let us introspect. All of them have to introspect that whether or not you are trying to preach something which you yourself don't follow. I mean, I personally feel that, dear physician, you first get cured yourself before prescribing cure for others. So the simple reason is, the simple point here is that ताली दो हाथ से बजती है और शहनाई भी दो हाथ से बजती है. दो ही सुर का ये खेल शहनाई. तो जो शहनाई है, जो दो ही सुर का खेल है, वो अच्छे से बजे हमारी पार्लियामेंट में और लोगों को उसको सुन के आनंद आए. क्या अजब साज है ये शहनाई, दो ही सुर का तो खेल सारा है. तो मेरा समझता हूं कि हमारे देश में, in our country, the parliamentarians have to set an example by their conduct, and they must apply their minds and they must understand issues before they open their mouth on those issues. And many a times I hear from honorable parliamentarians making statements which don't reflect well on the level of learning and the kind of study which they are putting into their understanding of issues before debating them on the floor of the House. Right. And many a times, you see, we have also seen debates, Nilu, in this country, where people say that this whole question of parliamentary whip, which parties issue, it is not a fair thing, because that stifles variegated opinion within the party on an issue where a party should have all kinds of opinion at its disposal to come to a sensible decision, a reasonable decision. Right. But here, what we see that when the debate happens in the House, the members from the Treasury, one after another, gets up and says, "I support the bill, and our Prime Minister has done a great work, our government has done great work." There is no variety in the thought that they're sharing. And that is where I feel that some rediscovery has to be there of a parliamentary democracy, where, as in the case of United States, which is not a parliamentary democracy, a presidential form, but in the House of Commons and the Senate, in the people of House of Representatives and the Senate, we see members, opposed members from the same party as that of the president, opposing certain policies of that government on the floor of the House, and the presidency reaching out to them to persuade them, to explain to them as to why this is required. That is true democracy in action.
Absolutely. No, but sir, despite a Supreme Court order saying that, the people who are in public life should measure and calibrate their words, do you think that this is going to set an example for other parliamentarians, or we are going to see the same story come elections and, everybody will be just blurting out acid against each other? Do you think that the parliamentarians will learn any lesson?
Well, this advice of the Honorable Supreme Court applies to all political parties, all politicians.
Yes.
That they must apply their mind before they open their mouth. That the language has to be civil. And you can oppose each other, but there is no purpose served by insulting each other, humiliating each other, calling each other names. I mean, for instance, you can't call somebody's wife or girlfriend 50 crore girlfriend. Can you possibly at the same time claim that we are a party जो बेटी को बचाती है और बेटी को पढ़ाती है?
Right.
You can't keep quiet on issues like the wrestlers' protest and the accusation leveled against a member of your own party of the House. You can't keep quiet on those issues. You can't keep quiet. You can't stand outside Parliament and make a statement on Manipur, but don't turn up and refuse to turn up in the House for a full session or a full monsoon session. You can't do that.
Absolutely.
Look, you don't just have to be fair and committed to an institution. You also have to come across as being fair and committed to an institution. This applies to the judiciary as much, that where the judiciary just doesn't have to be fair, it has to come across as being fair.
Right.
This is more important. And in politics, this is 100 times more important for politicians, because politics is a battle of perception.
Right.
And today, there is a perception gaining ground in vast sections, especially such people who decide on their vote closer to elections and weigh their vote exercise their vote very carefully, that those people are asking these questions, thinking voters of this country. Not everybody the ruling party should know is a labharthi.
Absolutely.
That he will vote just for you. But, if you want the vote of just labharthis, then you're not making, it's good that you are getting the vote of those labharthis and they're happy that you are looking after them. But you also have to have on your side people who represent the intellectual repository of this country.
Right.
And you can't just call a thinking person anti-national or acting against the interest of India just because he disagrees with you, or that he has a different concept of nationhood.
Right. You were talking about the battle of perception. And if I may talk about Rahul Gandhi's Supreme Court order, which just came on Friday, do you think that this order, in terms of the battle of perception, has Rahul Gandhi really won a war? Many people say that usne jang jeet li. Do you think that he's won a war, or we should not see
jang jeet li? This congressman has this habit of getting into celebratory mode and overreacting and over-celebrating episodical victories. Rahul Gandhi's own statement was very, very short and to the point.
Right.
It was not celebratory. It was not a triumphant man talking. He was a resolute man saying that I'm thankful to those who supported me and I'm grateful and I'm very clear in my mind as to what's my political course ahead. He didn't say anything more than that. It is another matter that his party men were celebrating, और उनको तो ढोल नगाड़े बजाने की आदत है, वो हर political party में होता है. But the point is that the man who was at the center of it all has kept his calm and used a very measured, short statement after the judgment that went in his favor. Now, this is not a judgment. It is actually an order which stays the conviction of Rahul and thereby restores his membership of the House. The final word from the judiciary on this case will come after the trial in the Sessions Court. And we'll have to wait for that.
Right. But so we all know that, this was a case which was totally politically motivated, as what has come out even after after the order. Now, in terms of the stature, how would you read Rahul's character now after this order and the way he has emerged? I'm just looking at his journey from Bharat Jodo Yatra and the way he has evolved. How would you really read him? And time and again, there have been questions that is Rahul ready to counter Narendra Modi? Now, if you see Rahul vis-a-vis Modi, how would you really read him emerging as a force? What kind of a force is he now? Would really want to hear from you, sir. Yes.
The comparisons, Nilu, are always odious. I mean, it's not proper. Those are easy answers to complex questions. I'll give you an example that once I had asked Devanand when he came to the press club that you were three brothers in films with sharing the same educational and cultural background and family background. But you all three of them were in films. But the kind of films you made were so different from each other. To which Dev Saab said, because we are three different temperaments. So here we are talking about two different temperaments. And it is the temperament that makes the man or a woman. And Rahul, over the years, has acquired a temperament, more so after the long yatra that he undertook across India, that he has matured as a wine more. Now, whether that wine is heady enough for the people of this country shall be known in 2024. Because, so what I'm saying is that Rahul Gandhi today is not dismissed as a lightweight. Today, he is not dismissed the way he used to be dismissed earlier, being called all kinds of names. Today, that is, even if he's called names, that doesn't stick. So, he has acquired a bit of a Teflon. The very Teflon, very kind of Teflon that has protected Mr. Modi in so many difficult situations where he had to be, if not directly accountable, vicariously accountable. So I think that Rahul Gandhi is maturing as a leader, and more importantly, while he was fighting in the courts to get his membership restored, my personal knowledge is that he was the least concerned as whether or not he would get back into parliament, because his politics has moved out of parliament. His politics, in a very archetypal way, today is the politics of the opposition of yore. And when I say opposition of yore, I'm talking about the great socialist leaders who used to struggle with the Congress when the Congress was the most important and domineering party on the Indian political spectrum. That also included certain ancestors of the present leadership of the BJP, those ancestors who, despite differences with them, were acceptable to some of us. Namely, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that they were acceptable to us because they, despite their strong ideological moorings, they had the ability to rise to the occasion, rise above their ideology and their party, and to accept the truth, which may be complementary to their opponents in politics. For instance, Atalji's statements on Nehru, his statement on Rajiv Gandhi. I mean, that is the kind of polity this country has been nurtured on, but not this kind of polity where even after he was restored by the court, the highest court of the land, as a member of parliament, a top IT cell official of the BJP tweeted, "Bakre ki maa kab tak khair manayegi." Is this the language you use?
Absolutely.
Does that man represent the culture that he claims to represent, or the BJP embodies as claims to embody? I'm sorry. You see, we have to make public discourse decent, civilized, wholesome, robust. This is not happening.
Right. Certainly, it's not happening, sir. But the line which you use for Rahul Gandhi, that Rahul Gandhi has matured as a wine. And if you look at the timelines of Congress social media handles, they have started projecting Rahul Gandhi as a Jananayak. In fact, that's been happening since the Bharat Jodo Yatra days. That's how he's being projected, a philosopher, someone who's not bothered about the world and the materialistic things. Would it be right, or is Congress really overplaying this narrative of Rahul being projected as a Jananayak?
No, listen, please understand. Again, I'll do the same thing. I don't comparison. There are no, your comparisons are bad. I mean, for somebody to compare him with JP or with Vinoba ji, and some people even may do it with the Bapu.
No, but Congress is doing it. Congress social media handles are doing it.
Congress social media handles are to attract attention the way BJP social media handles are to attract attention. And they don't influence my analysis of the situation. And shouldn't influence, right, because in the alternative medium, which is YouTube, that we tend to look at things more with a greater degree of an eye for detail. So what I'm saying is that Rahul Gandhi, even if he's doing the kind of politics which is away from the elected houses of parliament, he can't be called Jananayak. Maybe he can, one can say that in his very humble way, he is following the template of JP Babu or Vinoba Bhave. He is he is inspired by them, or maybe his line today is similar to theirs, because those people never were ministers. Those people were were members of parliament, but those people had a major role in the freedom struggle. Now, Rahul Gandhi is active in politics at a time when people feel that the values of the freedom struggle and the idea that shaped India is under threat. And I think that there is today a need for a politician who is not in the power game. He is in the people's game. Unfortunately, power game has gotten disconnected with the people's issues in our society, in our country lately, in recent decades. So I think Mr. Rahul Gandhi, insofar as his own idea of politics is concerned, he is pursuing maybe a lonely furrow, and he doesn't need. I doubt whether Rahul Gandhi gives instructions to the social media people in his party, ki project me in this manner or project me in that manner. In fact, many of them may not even have any access to him, for the simple reason that ever since he ceased to be president, he is not interfering in the affairs of the party. He's not interfering in the affairs of the party. That's it.
So, right, you were saying that it's not fair to compare him, but definitely he is trying to become a Vinoba Bhave or a JP. But so my final lap of questions now to you would be that the 2024 elections now, Rahul Gandhi, vis-a-vis India alliance. Now, does Rahul Gandhi's case really strengthen the India alliance? What kind of backing would you see from Rahul Gandhi? All of those questions are just floating in the air, but not with many answers as to how it's really going to manifest.
What will manifest?
As in Rahul's role in India alliance, how does India alliance shape up for 2024 elections?
You see, this alliance is already there. This grouping is already there. What they have to do is sort out the seat sharing arrangement. Now, this alliance has gotten constituted in the face of the hawkish BJP approach to its adversaries. And the same kind of fate many people visualize for themselves or apprehend for themselves. For instance, Rahul's disqualification from the House, Manish Sisodia's imprisonment, Satyendra Jain's imprisonment, the cases against Mamata Banerjee's nephew, the cases against the daughter of KCR, and innumerable, in countless so many cases, that they have made them feel that either they hang together or they shall be hanged separately by the BJP.
Hmm.
BJP will brook no hurdle or no resistance to its objective of sustaining itself in power, come what may. So it is more of a programmed computer in that way.
Hmm.
I won't call it an election winning machine because it is more of a programmed computer, a computer programmed to win elections any which way. Now, the opposition, the only way they can countenance such a challenge or push back such a challenge is to set up a contest, one-on-one contest in at least 400 seats in this country. And if that happens, then I think it will be an interesting fight. And the new parliament will not have the kind of overwhelming numbers on the treasury side as it is today.
Right.
But that is a very painstaking process that will involve a lot of give and take. There will involve a lot of sense of accommodation from every party shown towards the other claimant to seats. And Congress will be at the hub of it, though Congress has made it clear that they are not claimants to the Prime Minister's office, which is a very wise thing to say. Because gaon basani chor pehle aa gaye. If you go situation to banao where you can claim the leadership of a political alliance, indeed the Congress will be at the core of it. And the leadership question, which is being front-loaded by people who take briefing from the ruling party, that they're saying who will be the leader, Modi versus whom. The question is at what number of seats this alliance gets, and once they know that they can form a government or they are close to forming a government, that they will decide the leader. They don't have to decide the leader before at the start of the battle, without winning that battle.
Right.
That stage comes when you won a battle and you'll stake claim to power. That's it. So I don't get into these questions. Frankly, I mean, for all you know, that if they can form a government, they may agree to have a respectable, equally acceptable technocrat as the Prime Minister. If Manmohan Singh could be Prime Minister of this country, why can't someone like Raghuram Rajan be the Prime Minister of this country? Right. It's simple as that. And there is no dearth of talent in India.
Right.
Absolutely. India is a country where people, and you see, in a situation where many claimants to the Prime Minister's office, the best way out is what was shown during the United Front government, when Deve Gowda first became, and then Gujral became later. And Gujral was made Prime Minister on the simple principle that he has the ability to govern. And while being able to govern, he will not pose a threat in popularity terms to any other leader of the alliance.
Right.
And that's why he became Prime Minister. Right. The same recipe can be applied once the elections are over. But then, this is discussing something hypothetically.
Right.
Because it is very much deep into the future and doesn't know what's going to happen after 2024.
But so one last question before I wind up the interview, and that is, of course, continuous jibes which Prime Minister Narendra Modi and even Amit Shah have been taking at India Alliance. You, of course, mentioned that, Prime Minister had called East India Company, then Indian Mujahideen and all whatnot. Then Amit Shah also, in Parliament, we saw how the manner in which they are attacking India Alliance. Now, many people have started saying that Narendra Modi seems to be losing the plot now. Now he doesn't have a new story to tell the people. How would you really assess? I mean, is it like some kind of a desperation on part of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah or vis-a-vis BJP?
No, look, one thing I'll agree, and I think this point was also made by the very well-regarded columnist, Mr. Pratap Bhanu Mehta, that the Honorable Prime Minister sounds repetitive now. And there is a dearth of new ideas and new formulations. This happens when you're ruling for 10 years. I mean, after all, you can't be sort of coming up with a bright idea every second day, this happens. And there is an element of fatigue in the BJP also.
Right.
But this doesn't mean that the Honorable Prime Minister is a pushover. He's not a pushover. He's a formidable adversary. Even after 10 years of being in power, he is a formidable claimant to another term in office. But what I am trying to say is that 2024 will be not as easy as 214, and it will be certainly not as easy as 219, because 219 was not easy, because 219 was won on the back of Pulwama, which was an extraordinary situation. So I think comparing to the upcoming election with 2019 is not fair. You can compare it to some extent with 2014, but there today, what applied to the Congress then applies to the BJP now.
Absolutely.
To some, you can say there may be a difference of degree, but it applies as much to the BJP. What one calls as anti-incumbency, an element of fatigue which is set in, and the repetition, and the, may I dare say, the falling credibility of the NDA. There are many examples one can give, but there is no need to go into that detail. People know it, your viewers know it. So I think that 2024 is still an open battle where nobody is entering as as a sure winner. Even the Wimbledon final, everybody was saying Djokovic will win, but he lost, no,
right,
to a young man.
Right. But now, one final bit before I wind up the interview, you said that Rahul Gandhi apparently has moved away from the power game. He's more into the people's game now. So if Rahul Gandhi plays the people's game for 2024, can he be a pain prick, a real pain prick for Narendra Modi?
He is. He's the only man who's questioning him on a daily basis.
Yes.
And that is why I say that he's brave, and he is not scared of not being in power,
right,
or even being an MP.
Right.
Look at the promptness with which he vacated his bungalow. Look at the way he handled his litigation in various courts. He refused to apologize. He could have easily apologized and the matter would have ended. He didn't. He stood his ground. So, I mean, it takes a lot of courage and ability to invest whatever you have at stake in a battle, which he's able to do. He's shown that he can do it, So, I think that there is a lot of promise visible now in him. Whether that promise is good enough for him to be prime minister, or whether he wants to be prime minister, or whether he'll be acceptable as prime minister, these are questions which time will decide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having you on the program. One appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.